Hey guys, thanks for stopping by to watch another video here at All I See Is W. In today's video, I'd like to dive deep into the big three Bitcoin miners. We'll be covering updates with Mara, CleanSpark, and Riot. These three miners just recently announced their January production data. I'll also be covering some updates around the Bitcoin sector as well as updates with the White House conference to talk about what the strategic Bitcoin reserve is really going to look like and how Donald Trump signed the very first US wealth sovereign that will go in complementary with the adoption of strategic Bitcoin reserve at the state level, where all these states now are beginning to adopt and implement strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now, if you're new to this channel, I would first off really appreciate you hitting a like and subscribing for more related content. Let's get started, guys. We're looking at Bitcoin price currently hovering close to 98,000. We continue to see ETFs being created at the SEC level, and there's just been huge inflows, at least 5 billion inflows into January just based on ETS with anticipation that there will be inflows of about $50 billion by end of 2025. And today, Bitcoin did break through that $100,000. That's due to institutional confidence driven by MicroStrategy's continuous buying. In fact, MSTR's earnings report is going to be announced starting tomorrow, and that may very well have share price of the Bitcoin miners catapult as well. Also, Utah is set to establish a Bitcoin reserve, leading U.S. states in embracing digital assets. So, getting approval from the Senate, I believe Arizona, along with the other states, will be the next state that will have Bitcoin Reserve established. So just taking a look at this visual here, I mean, just in yesterday, Bitcoin bills have been added in several states. You now have Oregon, New Jersey, Mississippi, and Indiana. So it'll be interesting to see the remaining states get involved with Bitcoin here. Let's play a short clip of, the conference from today here. I'll shortly play this.
The president instructed us to do was to evaluate the idea for a Bitcoin reserve, and so that is one of the things. That's one of the first things we're going to look at as part of the internal working group in the administration. So as soon as we get all that set up, we're still waiting for some cabinet secretaries who are on the working group to get confirmed. So we're still in the very early stages of this, but that's one of the first things we're gonna look at is the feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve. I think the concept of the sovereign wealth fund is a little separate. And you have to talk to Secretary Lutnick, or soon to be Secretary Lutnick about that.
So there you have it. David Sachs with his updates, and there will be a continuation on the conference meeting today, but there was just great outcome from this and more to come, which is going to be very exciting. Let's pivot over to updates with the Bitcoin miners here. So Mara announced information around their January production numbers. So just key takeaways that they were able to produce 750 Bitcoins. Yes, we do see a reduction from the last months that was announced here. Overall average 24.2 Bitcoins produced per day, 5.1% share of available miner rewards with a transaction fee of 1.6%. Their energized hash rate now is at 53.2, the leading Bitcoin miner right now in terms of the highest energized hash rate to date. Yes, they also do have a very good fleet efficiency with their cost to mine as the energy costs come into play as well. But key takeaway here is top Bitcoin producer now currently close to about 45,000 Bitcoins on their treasury balance sheet. So out of all the companies around the world, they're right behind MicroStrategy. Out of all the miners, they have the biggest HODL current state. So that's why Mara continues to hold on to that dominance current state. Let's also just take a look at, updates with CleanSpark here. So key takeaway with CleanSpark's January production number is they're continuing to focus on getting towards that 50 exahash by first half of the year. And just key takeaways is that they were able to produce 626 Bitcoins in the month of January. Total Bitcoin holdings right now is at 10,556. They're ranked number 4 in the race right now out of all the companies around the world. They're behind MicroStrategy, Mara, Riot Platforms, and in fourth place, CleanSpark right now at the HODL of 10,556. One of the big numbers here is that they were able to energize their hash rate up to 40.1 exahash. So they're about, 10.0 hash rate behind Mara. However, they're continuing to ramp up their hash rate. Very bolstered strategy to complete by first half, along with the remainder of 2025. But the key takeaway here is that they were able to bring down their month-end fleet efficiency down to 16.5. So they are ranked number 2 in terms of cost to mine here. The industry leading is Iron. However, CleanSpark is right behind Iron when it comes to fleet efficiency costs. Very big numbers here, a huge milestone achievement with CleanSpark here, just being able to mine 626, even though Mara has the highest number at 750 Bitcoins mined. Let's take a look at this visual here just with CleanSpark. So just looking at it from a long-term perspective from 2021, you see her 2023 start of that year. It was a big time dip here. Beginning of 2024, we saw how it ran from like $6 to $24, especially with the earnings report that was announced last year on Q4 2023 results. It went from like $10 to $14 within a day. So hopefully with the earnings report that will be announced on this week, it may very well have that rocket type launch as well. So we're beginning to see a cup and handle form here, which I do think that there's going to be huge upside in the year 2025 here. Let's take a look at just overall updates with Riot Platforms. So what's interesting here is that with the data that was announced today, their January production numbers, they had a increase from month to month, from 516 to now 527 with a total of 17 Bitcoins produced per day. Their current HODL has increased up to 18,221. Now, with their hash rate deployed at various sites here, you see Rockdale, same numbers there, but we see the Corsicana facility ramping up the hash rate from 14.1 to 15.7, as well as ramping up hash rate at the Kentucky site where they acquired this site not too long ago in 2024, but we do anticipate continuous increase at the Kentucky facility with the overall deployed hash rate of 33.5 exahash, behind CleanSpark and Riot when it comes to the overall hash rate and total mining per month. But very solid news here with the consistent mining production. Definitely a company that is able to scale up its operational efficiencies as well as improving on the fleet efficiency. We see the fleet efficiency improving here. I'm thinking next month we'll see Riot Platforms fleet efficiency get down into that $20 or the 20 joules per terahash with the all-in power costs here. So definitely going to see improvements, and especially with news with Riot pivoting to HPC AI, any news updates with Stargate potential contract or an AI client partnership, that's really going to catapult up the price as well. Let's take a look at the announcement here from Riot Platforms. So just to read from Jason Less, Riot mined 527 Bitcoin in January, marking the second consecutive month of increased production despite rising network difficulty, said the CEO. During the month, we completed the commissioning of the Corsicana facility and are pleased to report that all systems are now fully operational. As a result, the Corsicana facility, a deployed hash rate of 15.7 exahash towards the end of the month, We also continue to see strong results from newly deployed miners and immersion systems reflected in the significant improvement in our operational hash rate and utilization rates. So one thing to keep in mind is with the Corsicana facility, there's still energy capacity of 600 megawatts that can potentially be used for HPC AI. Let's now pivot over to the technical analysis here for Mara. So key takeaway, what we saw with Mara, I mean, $30 back in November. Here, I'm just forecasting by the fear. Everyone right now is turned off by Mara. Yes, it sucks to see the price drop here, but buy the fear because while people sell, while people get shaken out, while people sell their stock, that's when we're going to see that run up here. So, as people are afraid, you want to buy when there's blood on Wall Street. Again, this isn't financial advice, but I do see higher lows here, and we're expected to see some rocket fuel launch in Q1 of 2025, especially with the price of Bitcoin. You know, we're still in that early phase of the Bitcoin cycle. We haven't seen RSI of the Bitcoin rally get up to 80 RSI. There's expected to be 3 data points with 80 plus RSI in this Bitcoin bull rally. So we're still in that early phase for this cycle, especially with the halving event taking place in April 2024. I do see that we're eventually in the April time frame. We're going to see that, you know, that retest even earlier, perhaps February, March, retest back up to that $30 range. But I do see in 2025, we could very well see that $50 to $100 for the price of Mara holdings here. Let's take a look at overall technicals of CleanSpark here. So, you know, just scaling back, we saw what CleanSpark was able to do, $6 all the way up to $24. So huge upside. You know, we've been seeing the miners get beat down very bad here. RSI at like, you know, we at one point we saw at like $30. RSI is currently oversold, but I do think that we are able to establish support here. I mean, at one point it dropped to 895, but I don't think we'll get any lower than that. I do think that in the near term, we're going to see that retest into that 1493 and then retest back it to its prior resistance back in you know, mid-November of $18, and that's when, you know, the races will start. We're going to see this catapult up into that 3 to 5x range. 2025, I very well see this into that 30 to, you know, 50 range here with CleanSpark price here. Let's take a look at Riot platforms here. So just looking at, you know, just key takeaway here is, you know, just based on the technicals here, you know, we see higher lows here at one point, 2024. We saw multiple occurrences of it hitting like $18, $17, even in 2024. It had multiple iterations of like hitting $15. We saw just over the recent weeks, you know, hitting, you know, over $14 on multiple occurrences. I do forecast we're going to see that gap up here, especially with any news. We saw Cypher updates with with SoftBank announcing a partnership, investing $50 million. I think, you know, just with Stargate AI project, they're looking for big time real estate right now, and Riot definitely does have the real estate with that energy capacity. I do forecast, you know, we're gonna see that prior resistance testing that $20 in Q1 of 2025 and 3 to 5x potential in the year 2025, especially with Bitcoin price to be running up to 200,000. And all of these miners here with Mara, Riot, CleanSpark, you know, especially with news tomorrow with MicroStrategy, if we see positive earnings report, which I do think that will be the case, we're gonna have, you know, these miners also kick gears running up starting tomorrow here. So there you have it. I hope that this video is valuable. And if you found it valuable, please hit the like and subscribe.